Hello, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Row with Whimsy. Yay! There's a lot of stuff I want to check out today. I'll talk a little bit about the meditation I did last night. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk to people about. But before we do all of that, I want to talk about our donations, our charity drive. For people just tuning in, 100% of the profits from the channel go to charity. We raise money for charity by encouraging our fans to watch the commercials, and then once a month we get together with the fans of the channel and we decide where we would like the money to go to, and it's a collective decision. So I'm going to go ahead and use this video to just mention that, and also if people, here is the time to tell me where you want your money to go. So people have mentioned things over the last couple of weeks, but I think the best way to organize the charity money is to just tell me here on this video, just because it's hard for me to go back and look at all the messages from all the previous videos. So just tell me where you want the money to go. We'll go over it we're going to be giving it away on Earth Day, which is April 22nd, 2019, because much of the money that we raise goes to environmental causes that help to protect the environment. So I thought it would be apropos. I think they released the money on the 18th, so we should definitely have it by the 20th. So I figure by the 22nd we'll be organized and we'll be able to show you where it goes. So the charities we're picking are charities that help the environment, vulnerable people, and vulnerable animals. So those who need our help, the most vulnerable, and we want to help the environment. All right. So the second thing I want to talk about is the Mueller Report briefly. I was meditating on it last night, and there are all kinds of contingency plans within the intelligence agencies to make sure that this information gets out to the American people. So I think that a couple of things are going on. Number one, I did a meditation a couple of nights ago. It's a simple meditation. I've taught it here. If you folks want to give it a whirl and tell me what you find, you basically take a calendar. You can just look at a calendar, and in the meditative state, your eye will scan the calendar. You can ask a particular question, and when do you start, and check into how you feel as your eye scans the calendar. So I did that meditation again a couple of nights ago, and it was around next week, around the 8th, 9th, 10th, but specifically April 10th. We'll go ahead and be specific here again, because I know people want me to try and be as specific about the energy as I can, but it feels to me like, but go ahead and take a look at the calendar, get into the meditative state. And for those people who don't know what technique we're using here, we're using the heart-centered meditation. So you'd want to get into a relaxed state, close your eyes, and just breathe naturally, so that for a couple of minutes, allowing yourself to relax. We imagine energy coming up from the earth to our solar plexus, grounding us, and energy coming from Father Sky down to the solar plexus, giving us love and nurturing. And when those two energies meet in the solar plexus and expand into the heart and the rest of our being, filling us with love, we then take that love and we extend it to the rest of the world. So that is the heart-centered meditation. For people who are dealing with trauma or challenges with other people, the advice I've been given is that you start the meditation first by filling yourself up with love and giving yourself what you need. And then you extend it to those you love and you care about, until eventually you're able to extend it, as you continue this meditative practice, to begin to extend it to those who you have strife with, you have conflict with. And in this way, we expand our compassion. So So that's the meditation technique we use, and it can be used to pick up or sense the feelings or the collective unconscious energy that theoretically we are co-creating. So that's the technique I use, and it can be used as you scan the month of April. You can go ahead and just take a look at a calendar if you've got a hard copy in the meditative state. Breathe in the month of April. See what you're feeling. How do you physically feel in your body as you scan the month of April? I would love for the fans of the channel to do that and just tell me what you're getting, because I'm getting a hit for April 10th. Okay, let me know what you're all getting. I would love to see if there's variations, because we can all collectively see what we co-create or what we sense. Okay, so there's that. And I think if the Mueller Report is not released in its entirety, the unredacted version to the public, and I don't think it will be, we will start to see massive leaks coming out. Now I want to talk a little bit about how the leaks work. I did some meditations on this about a year or two ago when the leaks started to happen, and it looks to me like what is going on with the leaks is that the intelligence agencies will have a leak, they'll have some evidence and they'll investigate the evidence, and then when they have gotten all the information that they can from the evidence, they will then leak it to the press, whether it's the New York Times or the Washington Post, but they will release it about 6 months, a year after they get it, when they feel that it's safe to leak it. An example would be the Trump Tower meeting. That information I have a theory about where that information came from. They held on to that information until they had investigated it adequately, and when they knew that the person who had leaked it was safe, they then leaked it to the general public. So that's how leaks seem to be working. They are coordinated leaks, and they are coordinated inside the intelligence agencies, as it appears to me, for the purpose of letting the public know, but it usually happens after the information has been somewhat declassified. That's what it looks like. Now, there are also other leaks where it's questionable whether or not that's what the intelligence agencies wanted to have happen, and that's when people wind up getting arrested, getting into all kinds of legal trouble. But yeah, so there seems to be some intentional the leaks from the intelligence agencies seem to me to be coordinated, organized, and we usually find out about 6 months to a year later when we get a leak. That's how it felt to me. All right, so last night another candidate came forward. Yay, the more the merrier. And the candidate was Tim Ryan, representative of Ohio. For people who don't know anything about Tim Ryan, he's something of a moderate blue Dem, a blue dog Democrat. He's out of Ohio, like I said, so he will definitely capture the Midwest vote. It would be very interesting to see who his running mate would be if he does win the election. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw cards to see how Tim Ryan is going to do in the primary. The other thing I wanted to look at is the future of the EU. People asked me to look at the future of the EU, and if we still have time, whether or not the world is going to come together aggressively to try and deal with issues like pollution and climate change. You know, what is going to be the global response to climate change over the next couple of years. So that's everything I have for today. Let's see. People are asking really good questions. I'm trying to get to it all. All right, so the first thing I want to throw on is, will the Mueller Report be leaked to the general public via the news outlets? I think the answer is yes, but I just want to check. We're going to use the Whimsy Tarot today. All right, the Mueller Report. Will it get leaked? Will the Mueller Report be leaked to the press? I love these decks. This is a great deck. Base card. Strength. The base card is the Strength card. And the Seven of Swords, which is the Thief card. It's interesting, the thief tries to get away with something. In the Whimsy Tarot, it's the naughty boy who's stealing the muffin, yes. The hot muffin, and trying to flee. But anyway, Seven of Swords is the Thief card, and Strength card has to do with a strong position. So it feels to me like somebody is trying to get away with something, but I don't think they're going to succeed. Where we are at right now. Four of Swords. Interesting. Crossing the Sun card. Yeah, I think there's going to be leaks. You can see here Four of Swords, challenges, not wanting to move forward, refusing to release the information. Four of Swords is sometimes a type of standstill where nothing happens. It's a situation where people are simply thinking about what they're going to do, and it's a holding pattern. But you can see here the Sun is coming out as well. So the Sun would suggest that there's going to be a leak or that the information is going to come out. The Two of Cups, there's an offer there. Two of Cups was probably the card that I was expecting to get if we're talking about negotiating with Congress, some kind of an agreement to release something publicly, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in finding out if it's actually going to be a dumping. You can see here the Queen of Rods, often Nancy Pelosi's card, the woman who holds the staff of authority, often a fire sign female is coming in, and she's attempting to create some kind of an offer. And the outcome is Lovers. From action, reaction. Here again, as always, the King of Pentacles is floating around. We always see that King of Pentacles. In this particular case, however, it's an action-reaction, which leads me to think that we're looking at some kind of negotiations behind the scene that we're not completely aware of, and the end result is going to be some kind of compromise or agreement. It's probably happening right now. The Eight of Pentacles is also moving in. Eight of Pentacles is interesting because it has to do with mastery, but it also has to do with preparing things so that they are ready for one's audience or one's customer. There's an aspect of perfection to the Eight of Pentacles. What is around the situation? The High Priestess, the opening of the eyes. Inevitably, the report will be leaked. It's inevitable. It cannot be stopped. It's really the destiny of the Mueller Report to be seen. With a card like the High Priestess, which is to be enlightened, to open the eyes, to see things as they truly are, moving into the 8th house, I would be very surprised if we don't see a leak, probably within a week or two. And you can see the Hope and Fears, Robert Mueller's card. The King of Rods, the man who holds the staff of authority, often a fire sign male, is what is feared, and it is the fear and the hope. And we can see that the final outcome is the King of Swords, authority straight up, legal action, the police. This is also the card of Donald Trump. He is an air sign male. So he is the outcome, but let's go ahead and get clarification here. The Magician comes into a position of power. The Ace of Swords, good, very auspicious. Again, in the 8th house, hopes and fears that justice will prevail. You can see it's right over Mueller's card. And then the final outcome, the Hanged Man, falls over Donald Trump's card. You can see the cards very clearly here. You can go ahead and read them for yourselves. Let me know what interpretation you get. I always want to know. But I feel pretty confident that the report will be leaked and it will not bode well for this president. And I see the president resigning partly because of the intensity of the investigations, but its impact on his health. As I have said in previous videos, I think that the stress of these investigations is taking a toll on the president's health, and I do think that he's taking some type of medication or increasing his medications in order to deal with the stress. And what we're seeing now, the slurring of words, obtunded, difficulty concentrating. There have been some feedback by nurses, doctors, etc. that watch the channel that say, well, it looks also like a possible TIA, transient ischemic attack. It's possible, but usually transient ischemic attacks don't go on for an hour or two. They're brief episodes, they're disturbing, but then you snap out of it. That's not exactly what I'm seeing with Donald Trump. A TIA, you'll see slurring of the words, but you might also see other things as well. You might lose consciousness briefly. You might have trouble seeing briefly. This looks more like a delirium or obtunded due to some kind of medication, because it doesn't go for a minute, it goes for sometimes 30 minutes, an hour, etc. And it's often in the morning during press conferences, which leads me to suspect that it's some type of medication he might have taken the night before. That's just my theory, but that was why I had written the article that I wrote and why I don't think it's a TIA. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, because we had a list of things we were going to go through, is I want to see about Tim Ryan of Ohio. I liked his energy. What's interesting about Tim Ryan of Ohio is that it's like he's an adult. It's like, wow, now there's an adult in the room. Tim Ryan just has that a very mature, strong, solid presence. And I want to see if he makes it into the top, we'll say the top 5. Will Tim Ryan make it into the top 5? Let's take a look. I like him. Will Tim Ryan make it to the top 5 candidates? Tim Ryan make it to the top candidates. Top 5. Tim Ryan make it to the top 5 candidates. Let's have a look. Base card, the 5 of Pentacles. Very, very interesting. Let's take a look. All right, 5 of Pentacles and a 3 of Rods coming in. 3 of Rods, looking for contacts, looking to expand your connections, reaching out, entrepreneurship, reaching out to possible future relationships or business relationships. It's interesting, the 5 of Swords comes up right over him and then he goes into a 3 of Wands. I do know that he was competing with Nancy Pelosi for the head speakership, so that might be why he's coming out of a 5 of Swords and moving into a 3 of Wands. Also, the president is an international representative of the United States, which would explain why the position is seen with a Three of Wands, a goal for an international, a role that has an international component to it, a financial component, but it's also how we interact with the outside world. Where he's at right now. The Knight of Swords is moving in. Very interesting. Knight of Swords comes quick, quick, quick. It's aggressive. It's strategic. This is somebody who's really moving forward, has strong ideas. You can see, I like this, the way it's depicted in the Whimsy deck. He's got a little light bulb in his head. But Knight of Swords is moving quickly. It's that quick, aggressive energy of somebody who really comes in, often the police, SWAT team. It's just a real aggressive energy. And what crosses it is the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups, beautiful card. Has to do with finding out what you want to hold on to and what you want to let go of. It has an interesting aspect to it in the sense that it teaches us that sometimes letting things go gives us an opportunity to find something better somewhere else. What is above? You can see the Nine of Pentacles coming in. So this is a candidate that will probably receive support from, he'll probably have benefactors. A Nine of Pentacles would suggest that he's already established strong relationships with people, and he will get strong endorsements. What is below him? The Two of Cups. Again, it suggests partnership with others, working well with others, and negotiating deals with others. What sits in his past? The Three of Pentacles. So he's been slowly working and developing his career. This is a slow, steady, meticulous person who has been working towards eventually running for president for a long time. I don't think that he did this overnight. This is somebody who spent many, many years thinking about how he wanted to run for president and what his campaign would look like. And what sits in his near future? The King of Cups. I think that this king, this potential presidential candidate, perceives of himself as someone who can heal a situation that needs to be healed or corrected. And I think he feels that he can do it very, very quickly. Like he has already established a foundation of what he thinks the country needs to do to get its direction back. And where he's at right now, the Eight of Rods, also a good sign. Eight of Rods means, again, growth, moving forward, communication, strengthening contacts, strengthening alliances. As a time period, it often denotes months. My wands are my month cards. It could be 8 months or the 8th month, August, when we really start to see his campaign taking off. And what is around him? The King of Rods, strong, solid, justice, leadership, his hope and his fear, the Magician. This is somebody who has a very clear idea about where the direction he feels the country needs to go in, and is concerned about the fact that certain things are not happening that need to take place in this country to get us back on track. Magician is about having the power and the tools to take control of a situation. It is his hope and his fear. And then his final outcome is the Two of Rods. The Two of Rods, capturing the beast, taming the beast. But Two of Rods is also about grounding and a foundation, and again, taking control of the situation. This is a guy, his cards suggest that he has very strong ideas about how the country should operate, and he has solid ideas how to implement them, more so, I would say, than some of the other candidates I've seen. And the clarification, outcome is the Six of Rods. Also quite auspicious, particularly since it's over a Two of Rods. I like the fact that a Three of Cups is also coming in for him, with a Three of Swords around him and a Hope and Fear, the Ten of Cups, with a final outcome, Six of Rods. I would interpret that as this is a person who will have very little drama in his campaign. He's very grounded. He's very stable. Six of Rods is stable. This is stable energy. Two of Rods, stable, foundation, working well with others. His cards are quite good. In fact, I'll go ahead and say that tentatively, Tim Ryan's cards are the strongest for the presidency so far of anyone whose cards I've thrown. So definitely I would say he has the potential to be in the top 5. Yay! All right, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly check to see what the international response is to the Green New Deal. We're trying to get other countries interested in the Green New Deal, and let's see what the international response to the Green Deal is going to be. Let's take a look. Will the international community adopt the Green Deal? Well, we see similar programs in other countries. The future of the environment. The base card, the King of Swords, is the base of the matter, and he's coming with a Five of Rods. So I think this is Trump because he is the King of Rods, but you can see that Five of Rods moving in. Five of Rods, when it's inverted, can be conflict. Five of Rods, when it's straight up, is a desire to work out or resolve conflicts by working together. It would suggest some kind of team effort. Where we are at right now, excuse me, the moon, confusion. So I don't see globally any kind of coordination. Everyone's off doing their own thing, and I don't see anybody leading by example. There's no leadership. What's crossing it? The Knight of Cups is coming. It's coming, though. There's leadership. There are people that are going to step up to the plate with strong ideas about how to heal the planet, because Knight of Cups is a romantic knight, the knight on the white horse, Sir Lancelot. He comes, he saves the day. So I like the fact it's one of the best things that you could see in a card chart where you're asking about the salvation of the planet, to have the Knight of Cups come in. So your knight in shining armor arrives, the Knight of Cups. What is above? The Chariot awaits. Cinderella, right? Her chariot. Prince Charming is coming. I'm liking this. What is below? The Four of Cups, romance. What I like about the cards talking about the planet is it goes back to that meditation when I meditated on what a utopian society would look like, how would we be able to create it. It was through a collective joy. I don't see suffering associated with saving the planet. These are whimsy cards, and so they bring joy and enchantment and the fun and the wonderment of all the creative and wonderful things that we can collectively do together when we understand the true meaning of our existence, which is ultimately to expand the world and to make it a heaven on earth. That is the true destiny of humans. Not Armageddon. You can see here we're coming out of that old mode of thinking. Four of Swords, again, in the past would suggest that we were indifferent or ambivalent, or we were sitting back and really not taking care of the situation from a global perspective the way we should have. And the near future, what will happen? The Hermit. This is good. In the near future, we're seeking wisdom, knowledge, and information about what we need to do in order to save the planet. So a hermit card in the near future means that people are sitting down and we're trying to figure out what the problem is and what the solution is. It's a very good thing that we're seeing a hermit in the 5th house. Or excuse me, the 6th house. Where we're at right now, the Emperor. The Emperor is daddy love, it's disciplinarian, it's in Hebrew we call this gevura. From a Kabbalistic perspective, it's to have fences or boundaries. And din, which is Hebrew for the law. It's when an energy comes in that's very restrictive, strong. It has its place, daddy energy. But without the balancing energy of the Empress, it can sometimes feel restrictive and tyrannical. What is around us? The Tower. So my concern is that we're going to start to see potentially some environmental disasters happening around the globe, particularly in the third world, if more isn't done sooner. Hopes and fears, the Page of Rods, and then the final outcome, the Ace of Pentacles. Wealth and commerce, green ideas that actually cause the planet to flourish and for people to flourish economically. The clarification, the Nine of Swords comes in over the Ace of Pentacles. If people cannot overcome their greed, the end result could be potentially devastating for the planet. The challenge for us is to be able to work with the planet in ways that are constructive for our own well-being, but also the well-being of the planet. And it's a bit of a conflict. I don't like seeing a Nine of Swords coming in over the Ace of Pentacles. That could represent that our own greed is the problem. If we treat the world as if the world comes first, if our first and foremost priority is the health and well-being of the world, we can save the planet, and we can do it in a way where we still see profits. But we have to make the world our priority and not our own personal needs. Our own personal needs without the needs of the planet and those around us ultimately leads to the Nine of Swords. Okay, so I think it's a mixed bag. I think how I would interpret it is that the cards are not saying we have to give up entirely on capitalism. If the product that you're producing, the more of the product you produce is better for the planet, then that would be green capitalism. And I think that is the takeaway I would have with these cards. If anything we produce as human beings does not take the Earth's needs into consideration first and foremost, the end result would be catastrophic. Okay, very heady today and a long reading, but I wanted to cover all those topics. Tomorrow is Sunday, so maybe we'll have a tea time. We'll sit around and talk. I'm debating whether or not I'm gonna be able to do a live stream. I know people I have to figure out how to do that. I know people want to have tea with me on Sunday, and I'll see what I can do to make that happen. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're trying to get in for next week, I see people for readings. I do phone readings from Tuesday through Saturday. Those are my phone readings. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.